Welcome back to my channel everybody. So not everyone wants to go with something creepy for Halloween, so instead I've created this beautiful mermaid tutorial. To start with, I'm using this light blue face paint by Superstar, and this is a pearlescent paint. I've chosen to use a shimmery paint on the shoulders and a matte paint through the centre. But don't worry if you can't get hold of a pearlescent one. We are going to be using a pearlescent pigment over the top of this, so you can go in with matte colours if that's all you've got. I find the best way to apply this is in a stipple motion and to apply it in layers, and that way you're going to get a nice opacity. Before the seams of the paint dry, I like to go in with a buffing brush just to blend them out slightly, and this is going to help with the gradient from one colour to another. So next I'm taking this matte green paint, again by Superstar, and I'm running that through the centre of the chest. And I'm also fading that cross onto the collarbone. And then using the stipple motion with my buffing brush, I'm going to blend those two colours at the seams together. I'm also applying that colour on the sides of the neck, fading it down so we're getting a nice colour in between green and blue. Again, we are going to lay this up, but you want to allow the paint to dry first before we go back in with another layer. Directly under the jaw, we're going to apply the blue colour and fade that into the green on the sides of the neck, and then on the very front of the neck, we're going to stipple the blue down the throat to meet the green colour. We're going back in with the green, and we're going to stipple that up the throat over the blue, and this is going to create a nice gradient from the limeish sort of green that we've got on the chest, transitioning into a darker green as we go up the throat. Going back in with my blue sponge and only using what's left on it, I'm going to fade the blue down onto those two muscles we've got coming down the neck. And once again, I'm using a stipple motion to do this. To create the distinctive scales that we associate with mermaids, I'm using a Fishnet Stocking cut up, and we're stretching that across the chest. And I'm going to stipple Sugar Peel's Lumi pigment over the top of this. This is actually a white pigment that has got a turquoise sheen to it, so it's got flashes of blue and green through it, which is perfect for this look. I'm just applying this to the tops of the shoulders, across the centre of the chest, and a little bit across the clavicle bone. The reason I'm not doing the entire chest is because if you look at fishes and their scales, they do have an iridescent shine and they only pick up when the light hits them. So that's the effect we're going for. Then we're carefully lifting the fishnet stocking off and then putting it around the neck. And again, you want to stretch that out so we can meet where we finished off on the chest. And I'm just going to apply this along the clavicle bone again and down those two muscles on the neck. And then as you can see, when you move your body in the light, it just picks up those scales and looks absolutely stunning. I'm applying Nars Luminous Weightless Foundation to the face, and I'm using my MAC 130 Duo Fibre brush. I'm working out in circular motions over the entire face, and this is going to give us a nice flawless base to work on. Don't forget to take your foundation right along the jawline where we've created that nice sharp line with the paint. So moving on to brows, I'm taking that lightest blue paint that we used at the very beginning on the shoulders, and I'm filling in the brows. And I'm only applying this to the outer 2/3 of the brow, because then at the beginning I'm applying an even lighter blue shade, so we're creating a nice ombre effect from lighter blue to darker blue. And again, you need to do this in layers to build up the opacity, so I'm going back in with that pearlescent blue and applying that to the outer 2/3 of the eyebrow. Then I want to darken the tail of the eyebrow, so I'm mixing that pearlescent blue with a tiny bit of black, and when mixed together that's going to give us a slightly darker blue. And I'm applying this to the tail of the eyebrow, fading it into the blue that we've already applied. Taking some Nars Creamy Concealer in Custard, I'm applying a small amount of that underneath the brows. This is going to allow us to create a nice sharp line underneath the eyebrows and also clean up and make that brow bone look a little bit more prominent. Next I'm taking MAC's Chromaline liner in white, and on a Blank Canvas Cosmetics flat shader brush I'm applying that over the entire eyelid, so from the lash line right up to the brow bone. Over that I'm taking MAC's pigment in Chartreuse and applying that to the inner corner of the eye, up to the brow bone, and fading that about halfway across. I layered this colour maybe 2 or 3 times just to build up some opacity and really get a bit more of an intense colour payoff. The next pigment I took was also by MAC, and this is High Def Cyan. And on the same Blank Canvas Cosmetics brush, I'm using the other end, which is the pencil brush, to apply this blue on the outer V of the eye. Then I'm using the Blank Canvas Cosmetics E26 blending brush just to soften that. As I work that in circular motions, I'm pulling the colour through the socket towards the inner corner of the eye. Once that's blended out, I'm going back in with the pencil brush to reapply the colour, and then I'm going to blend it again. Over that blue, I'm going in with Makeup Geek's foiled eyeshadow in Pegasus, and using my flat shader brush, I'm pressing that over the blue. Ordinarily I'd never apply a highlight to this area, but for this look it really works well. and then over Chartreuse I'm going back in with the Sugarpills pigment in Lumi, and this really ties the eyes in with the chest and neck. To add a little bit more drama to the eyes, I'm going in with MAC pigment in black, and on the same pencil brush from earlier I'm running that underneath the lower lashes. I forgot to mention I've already applied the blue under the lower lashes as well, and we're just smoking this out using the black. Using my flat shader brush at an angle so we've got the tip, I'm pulling that black out and we're creating a wing at the outer corner of the eyes. Using Kryolan's liquid liner in black, I'm lining the top lid and we're going to go slightly thinner on the inner corner of the eye and thickening that as we get to the outer corner. The wing itself is going to run parallel to the wing we've applied using the pigment underneath the lower lashes. Now don't concern yourselves about me double dipping on this eyeliner, I bought this specifically for this look. If you're copying this and you're applying this to a model, then either use the model's eyeliner or use one from your kit that you're decanting out. Going back to the pencil brush dipped in the black pigment, I'm applying that to the outer V of the eye. I've really tapped out the excess so we've only got a very small amount on the bristles. Then I'm using my fluffy blending brush just to work that in. You can see by only using a small amount we haven't created a muddy mess. Using a fluffy blending brush, I'm applying a small amount of the Cyan pigment on the very inner corners of the bridge of the nose. And then I'm using the foundation brush from earlier just to drag the colour down. And this will prevent us from applying too much pigment down the sides of the nose. I decided to go back in with my pencil brush and apply a little bit more of that Cyan just through the socket of the eye. I take it about halfway up and then I use the fluffy blending brush to feather the colour the rest of the way across. Now I've applied a black kohl pencil to the waterline, and then I'm going back in with my liquid liner to create a nice sharp point at the very inner corners of the eyes. And I'm dragging the brush backwards over the tear duct area, and this is going to help frame the very inner corners of the eyes. On an angled brush, I'm applying Pegasus eyeshadow directly underneath that black liquid liner. I'm actually applying this wet so we get a bit more of an intense colour payoff, and I'm just pulling the colour back, fading it into that black pigment. The lashes I'm applying are by Velour Lashes in Girl You Crazy, and you can use my discount code if you want 15% off, which is in the description bar of the video. And then I'm applying Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara to the bottom lashes. Just under the cheekbones I'm applying a little bit of Shiseido bronzer. This is just going to help to sculpt the face ever so slightly. The brush I'm using I believe is the Luxe Cheek brush by Zoeva. I'm also taking that down the sides of the nose on my Blank Canvas Cosmetics E25 brush. Next I'm taking this purple eyeshadow by Grimas, but you can take one by any brand that you've got that's got a nice pigment payoff. To apply it I'm using my F15 brush by Blank Canvas Cosmetics, and I'm working that in circular motions over the cheekbone. I'm also going to work that in a halo shape, so I'm working that around the temple area and onto the sides of the forehead. The trick to blending out these sort of pigmented eyeshadows is to use very little product and then just work it in circular motions with a really light hand. By using a light hand, you're not forcing the product to stick to one area of the skin. In keeping with that shimmer to the skin, we're going to apply Champagne Pop by Becca Cosmetics to the very centre of the nose, a little bit above the Cupid's bow and underneath the bottom lip, and a very small amount to the brow bone, which normally I hate, but for this look it really works. And we're also going to apply that to the tops of the cheekbone, and as you can see when you turn to the side you get this really beautiful gradient from purple to a beautiful golden shimmer. For lips, I'm applying Creme de Nude by MAC. As we've got a lot of colour going on everywhere else, I wanted to keep the lips really pale and nude. And then over that I'm using MAC's Oyster Girl lip gloss, and the reason I've chosen to use this is again it's got that iridescent sheen. So it's very in keeping with everything that we've got going on. Using this puffer bottle, I'm going to sprinkle some white glitter over the entire look. And it is white, but it has flecks of blue and green in it. So for me, it really gives it that added glam. I'm also sprinkling that over the face as well. And if you're not fussed about glitter getting in your hair, why not go for it in your hair as well? And that completes my pearlescent mermaid look for Halloween. I hope you've enjoyed it.
So as you've gathered, this is Callie, not Shonagh, so I hope you've enjoyed this mermaid tutorial. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to see some more Halloween tutorials, click on these now. So thanks for watching and we'll see you again. Mwah!